Hello, and welcome to the Enosi Podcast, where innovation, insight, and impactful ideas come together to shape the future of knowledge and learning. I'm your host, and today we're going to explore one of the most essential tools for researchers, writers, students, and academics across all disciplines, a tool that can transform the way we write, think, and contribute to the world of knowledge. Before we begin, I kindly ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and like this episode. Your support means a lot to us and allows us to continue bringing thoughtful content to a wider audience. And if you know someone who might benefit from this episode, perhaps a student, a scholar, or a curious mind, feel free to share it. Now, let's step into today's theme, which is all about mastering the art of academic writing through a unique and structured approach, the right framework developed by Haitan Rachman. In today's rapidly expanding knowledge ecosystem, the ability to write clearly, logically, and reflectively is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. Academic writing is more than putting words on paper. It is about building ideas, offering insights, and participating in a larger dialogue within your field. It demands structure, discipline, and intellectual depth. Yet, many writers, students, and even professionals struggle to navigate this process in a coherent and effective way. That's where the right framework enters the picture. The right framework, conceptualized by Haitan Rachman, is more than just a guide for writing. It is a reflective and structured compass that supports academic writers through each phase of the writing process. The acronym WRITE stands for Widen, Reason, Integrate, Tell, and Evaluate, 5 essential stages that together create a complete cycle of intellectual development and communication. Let's explore each stage in depth, understanding not just what they mean, but why they matter and how they work together to enhance your scholarly writing. The journey begins with Widen. Widen is a stage where writers open their intellectual lens, expanding their understanding of the subject they are about to explore. It's about building a strong conceptual and contextual foundation. In practice, this means diving deep into relevant literature, exploring diverse sources, identifying current trends, examining ongoing debates, and becoming aware of the broader global and local context surrounding the issue at hand. This stage is not just about collecting citations. It's about entering a conversation that is already happening in the academic world and finding where your voice fits. It's about identifying gaps in existing research, formulating thoughtful questions, and crafting a theoretical framework that will guide the entire writing process. Whether you're writing a thesis, a research article, or a dissertation, the Widen phase shapes your direction and purpose. It appears prominently in the introduction and literature review chapters, anchoring your work in relevance and urgency. Once a writer has fully immersed themselves in the context, it's time to engage with reason. Reason is the second stage of the right framework, and it is the intellectual engine of any academic work. It's where logic takes the wheel, where arguments are constructed, and where the writer transitions from inquiry to proposition. Here, the writer begins to craft their thesis or research question with clarity and confidence. This phase includes outlining a sound methodology, whether qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods, and building a coherent structure for argumentation. Every claim made must be supported by evidence, analysis, or theory. The reason phase is where your ideas begin to take shape with rigor and responsibility. Importantly, this phase also involves critical thinking. Writers must engage with opposing viewpoints, question assumptions, and ensure that their reasoning follows a clear and traceable path. It aligns with the methodology chapter and early sections of discussion, where the writer's ability to analyze and synthesize evidence comes into full view. Next comes Integrate, a stage that reflects the maturity of the writer. To integrate is to connect the dots, to bring together all the elements, data, theory, findings, perspectives, into a meaningful and coherent synthesis. This is often where good writing becomes great writing. In this stage, writers compare their results with the expectations laid out in the theoretical framework. They explore patterns, contradictions, and unexpected anomalies. They reflect not only on what was discovered, but also on what it means. Integration often involves interdisciplinary thinking, where knowledge from different domains is brought together to explain a complex phenomenon. Rather than presenting fragmented facts, the writer tells a bigger story, one in which evidence is woven into theory and discussion flows naturally. This phase typically appears in the results and discussion chapters of academic texts. When done well, It creates a seamless narrative that connects the research to its wider implications. With the substance of the work developed, the writer then shifts to tell, the fourth stage of the right framework. Tell is about how ideas are communicated. Even the most brilliant ideas can fall flat if they are poorly expressed. This phase ensures that the academic writing is structured, clear, and engaging without losing its scholarly essence. Good writing should guide the reader. It should feel like a journey through the writer's thought process, with each paragraph building upon the last. Writers in this stage focus on logical paragraphing, consistent terminology, clarity in transitions, and effective use of examples or illustrations. Tell is about tone, too. While academic language is often formal, it should never be unnecessarily complicated. The goal is precision, not complexity. The tell phase applies to the entire manuscript, from title to conclusion, and is often a phase where editing and rewriting play a crucial role. It's where the narrative becomes readable, persuasive, and enjoyable, even within academic constraints. And finally, we arrive at evaluate, the phase of reflection, insight, and contribution. Too often, writers end their work with summary, but the evaluate stage goes further. It challenges writers to critically assess what they have accomplished, what they might have missed, and what future research could build upon their efforts. In this stage, writers must concisely highlight their main findings, clarify the significance of their contributions, both theoretically and practically, and openly acknowledge limitations. This transparency does not weaken a work. It strengthens it. It shows integrity, humility, and a genuine desire to contribute to the field. Evaluation also invites the writer to situate their work in the wider body of knowledge and suggest new paths forward. It typically appears in conclusion and recommendation sections, and is where the scholarly conversation truly expands. Together, these 5 stages, widen, reason, integrate, tell, and evaluate, form a holistic, reflective, and practical approach to academic writing. The right framework is not just a linear checklist. It is a dynamic process, often recursive, where writers may revisit earlier stages as new insights emerge. What makes the right framework so powerful is its adaptability. Whether you are an undergraduate student writing a thesis, a graduate researcher preparing a dissertation, a professional drafting a policy report, or an author publishing an academic book, the right framework offers a clear structure without limiting your creativity. It promotes intellectual depth through reason, broad contextual thinking through widen, communicative clarity through tell, analytical coherence through integrate, and reflective honesty through evaluate. It helps writers not just produce text, but construct knowledge with meaning and purpose. Let's step back and consider a scenario. Imagine a master's student researching the impact of digital technology on traditional agricultural systems. In the widen phase, they examine global reports, previous studies, and case studies from various countries. They identify a gap in literature that doesn't fully explore local farmer adaptation in developing nations. In the reason phase, the student forms a hypothesis about how access to smartphones affects farming decisions. They choose a mixed methods approach, combining field surveys with interviews. Their logic is shaped by development theory and innovation diffusion models. In the integrate phase, they connect qualitative data from interviews with survey results and compare them against existing literature. They discover patterns in how generational gaps influence tech adoption and use this to craft a powerful narrative. The tell phase involves structuring the paper clearly, using real stories from farmers, while maintaining academic rigor in language and citations. Finally, in evaluate, the student reflects on the broader implications for digital inclusion policy and acknowledges the limitations of regional scope and potential bias in self-reported data. This is a right framework in action, creating not just a paper, but a meaningful academic contribution. At its core, the right framework is not simply a technique. It is a mindset. It reflects a way of engaging with knowledge, expansively, rigorously, cohesively, expressively, and reflectively. It helps writers stay oriented, even when their ideas feel overwhelming or scattered. So, whether you're just beginning your academic journey or are already an experienced writer seeking clarity and structure, consider embracing the right framework by Haitan Rachman. Let it be your compass. From the early moments of brainstorming to the final lines of your conclusion, let it guide you not just to finish your writing, but to craft something that matters. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Enosi Podcast. We hope you found this discussion on the right framework, both enriching and empowering. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, and share it with your academic or professional network. And if you're interested in applying the right framework in your institution, course, or writing project, or if you want to explore training, mentoring, or system development based on this model, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at Haitan or Rachman at enosi.co.id. This has been the Enosi Podcast, where structured thinking meets transformative writing. Until next time, keep learning, keep reflecting, and keep writing.